welcome back to CBS News. Today the team and I thought it would be a good idea to inform the public about the recent standoff between the communist nation Cuba and the United States of America. Lately, there's been a national panic on the possible crisis at hand, but folks, we are here to inform you about the possible consequences that a nuclear attack on the United States might entail. To those who haven't quite understood the issue at hand, we will teach you today what this means for us and the entire world. It goes without saying that the nuclear bomb is the most destructive weapon humankind has ever encountered. An explosion similar to that of the bombs dropped in Hiroshima 17 years ago had an estimated explosion of 18 kilotons of TNT, capable of wiping out entire cities and decimating anything in its way. While many seem completely aloof about the topic, we assure all the viewers at home that this is no joke. In the past months, we've seen a series of events that have slowly led to this moment. So what happened, and why are we here? We'll start by talking about the US and Soviet relations, who seem to have fallen out after several years of nuclear contention. Last year, a shipment of American-built nuclear weapons were sent to Turkey, a close US ally. The Soviet Union, sharing a border with Turkey, took this action from the US as a direct attack and reciprocated by sending another set of nuclear missiles to Cuba. Last week, US spy drones captured pictures of the weapons who were currently aimed and ready to be fired at the US at any given moment. This caused massive unrest among US officials, who last week on October 16th established a naval blockade around Cuba to prevent any more weapons from entering the island. The Soviets took it as an act of war, and currently we are sitting in a standstill between the two governments. The news has become quite public, for millions around the US are panicking over the quote-unquote end of the world. Citizens all around the country have built shelters to save themselves from the possible fallout. The biggest fear of the American people is the ambiguity of the possible drop sites of the bomb. We don't know when the Soviets are going to strike, but we know that there's a mass panic of people leaving their homes in heavily populated areas in an attempt to avoid the crosshairs of a nuclear weapon. Fortunately, the fearless American people have held up great in these times of distress. The stock market hasn't even taken any discernible effects, and our economy is as solid as always. Should the event escalate any further, we would see massive drop in stocks and the destruction of countless businesses, as well as the collapse of the economy as we know it. While the missiles in the Soviet Union don't have the range to reach the United States, transporting the missiles in Cuba changes the whole situation. For the missiles in Cuba, give the Russians the capability of striking any city without having to worry about range, given that Cuba is a mere 90 miles off US territory. When a nuclear missile strikes, we're looking at the deaths of millions in a fraction of a second. Not only will the explosion itself melt anything and anyone, but the shock waves and wildfires will kill countless more. One of the main fears of a nuclear bomb is not the explosion, but the radiation it emits, causing the mysterious disease X, which deems people dead within days of radioactive exposure. To this day, we see people in Hiroshima and Nagasaki born with severe disabilities because of the radiation emitted, which is a secondary effect of a nuclear attack. We prepared a video for you folks tonight to show you in animation the consequences of a nuclear attack.
But then came something that would forever change perception of the bomb. It started in the hospitals.
A mysterious illness began to spread. I noticed it from about the fourth day. Of course, it had been there all along, but I thought people were dying of severe burns.
The woman who lost her children in the fires, Shige Hiratsuka, and her husband were amongst those affected.
They lined my bed up next to my husband's and took his test first. When they had taken enough blood for the sample, they withdrew the needle. But the blood wouldn't stop. Nothing worked, whatever they did. Even when they applied pressure, it carried on bleeding. During this time, purple spots began breaking out all over my husband's body. He then vomited a large amount of brown liquid. Afterwards, he went limp and died an hour later. He had managed to survive that far, but then even he was taken away from me.
Her husband was one of thousands who would die from this new and untreatable condition.
They were rotting. It was necrosis. There were no white blood cells, so the blood had no power to fight against infection, and so suddenly the rotting set in. In the end, the hair would start to fall out. When you put your hand on the patient's head, tufts of hair would come away in your hand.
It emerged that those who were worst affected had been close to the hypocenter, or had swallowed radioactive material, like the people who drank the black rain.
Yes, okay. Yes, got it. Understood. Yes, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We've just gotten a report that a missile has struck Washington, killing millions. The Pentagon has been completely annihilated. Cars are rushing out of the city to escape any other attacks. Yes? Okay. And more news coming in. Cuba has just been struck with a missile in their capital, Havana. Ladies and gentlemen, this is indeed the end. Okay, we gotta get out of here fast.